in for the mayor tonight, so I'm acting as deputy mayor. As far as comments go, I just wanted to say that my wife and I had attended the annual Brussels Lions elimination draw on Saturday night, June the 7th. I had the honor to receive from the Brussels Lions a check totaling $6,250 for Huron East. I believe this fulfills the club's financial commitment to the Brussels Morrison Gray Community Center recreation project. Overall, it was a good night, good food, good entertainment. Councillor Fisher won $75. The best that we did, my wife found $20 walking back to the car. So
Also on that night, Deputy Mayor and his wife celebrated 45 years of bliss.
I still think she lost the bet. So. All right, I'm looking for a motion to reconvene into open session. Councillor Deal and Councillor Fisher. That the Council of the Municipality of Huron East reconvene in open session at 6 o'clock p.m. All those in favor? That's carried. Reporting out of closed session, council went into closed session to discuss a personal matter about identifiable individuals. The land acknowledgement is we would like to acknowledge that the land we stand upon today is a traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the neutral peoples. Confirmation of the agenda. There is just a correction or an amendment to it. I just want to read first and look for a mover second. Basically, Councillor Chartrand has a motion and we're moving it down. So that the agenda of the regular meeting of council dated June the 10th, 2025 be adopted as amended to move item 15.3.1 to after item 9.1.
Correct.
The mover seconder for that. Councillor Fisher and Councillor Stackler. All those in favor? That would be carried. Declaration of community interest or general nature thereof. Declare it now, or as the subject comes up. Seeing none, move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. Looking for a mover and a seconder for them to Councillor Willoughby, Councillor Chartrand. That the Council of Municipality of Huron East approve the following council meeting minutes as circulated. Regular meeting held on May 27th, 2025, and a special meeting on June the 3rd, 2025. Comments or questions on them meetings? Any corrections? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. We're down to the consent agenda. Does anybody have any requests to move anything from there for discussion? Councillor Willoughby.
Just wanted to point out 8.2, Brussels United Church Firm Committee are thanking us for supporting Pride Month and the 2SLGBTQ 1A plus community. And I have a report on, I attended Goderich Pride Day. I can talk about that later. But I would like to say that I am very much in support of the United Church in Brussels.
Okay. Any other questions arising from that consent agenda? If I could, I had two questions if I can. And one is through you, Brad, to Lisa on their 8.8, the pickleball. What time or when is that resurfacing going to happen?
The suppliers have contacted me and they're looking at some work sometime at the end of July, beginning of August.
Okay,
But nothing's been set.
okay, how long does that take?
They're anticipating like 2 to 3 days.
Okay, so it's not a huge time. Okay. And then the other one, 8.7, Brad, maybe to you since Brad Dietrich isn't here. Did I read that right in that report that there's 33 single family dwellings in this year alone? And you can get back to me, just for clarification.
Yep, that's.
It just seemed like,
That would be what he would have with that,
so there's 33 new builds.
yeah. This year so far.
Okay. And why in the previous 2024 does that only go from January to October and it doesn't go to December?
Probably just because of how we were tracking some of it. So we can do a little bit of counting in the process there. So it's probably just not jiving quite out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
So the building permits for the previous year or the previous period were from January to October because That was when the report was requested at that time, I think.
Okay,
Our data for this year is only for the first 6 months, of course. But we did have a change in our system in between the two. So our data, we're trying to line it up as best we can, but it is hard for comparison purposes over this time period.
thank you. Any other questions on that? If not, we need a mover or seconder. I don't think we asked for anything to be pulled from that, so we're gonna accept the consent agenda as warned. So Councillor Deal, Councillor Stackler, that the consent agenda with items 8.1 to 8.13 be received for information and approved. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. We're down now to public meetings, hearings, and delegation. Delegation with the Vanastra Curling Club. You wish to speak on that, please?
Thanks for allowing us to come and speak tonight. My name is Ron Kirk, president of the current club. We're here on behalf of the current club. Sorry. We're looking for help and support of the capital project for the club. The purchase of a new ice scraper. This piece of equipment is integral to the ice making and maintenance of the club. And ours is over 40 years old and is a 600-volt 3-phase plug in the wall. Knowing hydro is one of our major expenses of the club and that the new models are battery operated and only require one person to do the job, was a big reason why we push on to get ours up to date. The old one can be a hazard at this point with the large cable on the ground or on the ice laying across there. If it happens to get wound up in a wheel on a machine, it could be very treacherous for the operator and the facility. And if the old one is powered with a cord, it requires 2 people to really operate safely, so we can have the cord out of the way of the person scraping the ice. So we approached Lisa at municipality and asked her if there's anything with their or grants that we could consider to purchase a piece of equipment like this. Us members of the club were not very knowledgeable, but were to look for grants and hope for support. Lisa was gracious enough to guide us in a few directions, but did say this would fall under a grant directly from the municipality. She said if we could raise or have enough funds on hand, 50% of the equipment, the municipality's grant could cover 50%, which is what directed us to apply for this particular grant. Only to be surprised when it came back at approximately 10% coverage.
Sure. Sure.
Our club is growing and we work hard to fundraise each year, keep the club growing and maintain the property which is owned by the municipality. We volunteer our time and generate enough funds and cash flow to keep this facility active. We have been on upward growth for the past couple of years. We want to keep the sport of curling available within the area. We teach youth to curl and we also look to build social and fun nights for all ages. Through the year, we run many bonspiels and the local high schools use the club for their phys ed and their curling teams. And we have rentals that come in and use the club, which all require maintenance of the ice. For all these events, we would need a team to get the ice ready and prep between games. And if we can scale that back on the volunteers, that would be a great help. We have sourced an option for both new and used equipment. The used is approximately half of the brand new one. And our ask is the municipality would consider supporting the National Curling Club in the same support as other local organizations and groups with a 50% capital grant. At this point, would allow us to purchase the new equipment with our club already raising enough money to pay for the other half. Total cost is $15,000 before tax. Therefore, we're looking for $7,500 to be hopefully offset by municipality. For the past few years, we've raised many funds at the local Clinton Raceway, where we've been a sponsor for a day, host for a day. To be able to generate around $4,000 average per event. This, along with a few successful bond spiels, has put us in a good position financially to accommodate purchasing. However, one unexpected bill or a hydro bill could very quickly eat that away. Which is why we would be more than appreciative of the support of the municipality. We are very thankful to agree upon $2,500 towards this purchase that was brought up at the last council. However, We don't understand why we are set apart from other organizations of similar nature in the municipality. Other organizations that are volunteer run nonprofit and buildings over municipality in the past have been able to see support at 50% of the target for the grant. And we are hoping that you'll reconsider and boost ours with the additional funds to reach that same goal. Because of previous commitments from this council, we are looking for an additional $5,000 for a total of $7,500 for this initial grant, which we submitted on May 21st, 2025. For the purposes of becoming more efficient, ease of use, saving time and energy, and especially safety of the technicians operating the machines. We hope that you can truly look at this nonprofit organization solely run by volunteers from Nashua, same level you would any others in Brussels or Seaport. Thank you.
Any questions from council? Councilor Deal.
Is this program that we're talking about right now, it's not a capital 50% program though, is it? It's just the grant that we like it, is it set up as a capital, like a 50%, half and half type program?
It's not specific about 50%, although our capital plan typically states that any of our facilities, if they are looking at for any capital requirements, that the Keeney Group has to contribute 50% of that capital requirement. The grant program itself actually has what's called a project stream and a program stream, so it could be used for both streams. A program stream would be somewhere where someone's looking at an event and they're looking for some funding towards the event to help make it go. The project streams may be more towards something like this, where they're trying to do a capital project.
Okay, and my only other concern is, are we going to have other recipients coming back and wanting more after we've already set
Yes.
those monies aside for them? That's it, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions, comments? Councilor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, our deputy mayor. How many members do you have, sir? I'm sorry for mentioning.
Sorry, Lauren. And
Lauren.
right now, we're about 65 adult members and we're 20 or so junior members.
Excellent, good.
And we were at one point before COVID, we were in the teens. And so we've had
No, I'm-
a good growth and we planned from there.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Any other questions? No.
Through you to Lauren. Lauren, you've had this machine for about 40 years, you said,
Yes.
and it's power operated, electrical power operated. When you were sourcing a used one, is it, will that help meet your needs that it doesn't have a cord or that it's not 40 years old?
Okay, good question. The used and or the new one, both were the battery operated ones that you plug into the wall.
Yeah.
The little truck charger to run them. Like anything else, I used one. They've been reconditioned and they are supposed to be good, but I think if we have a new one. And we hopefully it can last another 40. That'd be really good.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I think we have that motion now that Ray, yes, you want to deal with now.
Yes, thank you. Before I make my motion, I want to share some facts and information with the rest of the council. Fact number one, as the CAO had indicated, it has been our policy to cover 50% of the cost for these group capital requests. We set this up so that groups could work together and raise their 50%, so they had buy-in in the project. Fact number two, our current grant policy does not have a limit for the grant amount. If you recall, for the ones that were at the special grant meeting we had, we talked about the possibility of setting limits, but there didn't seem to be a need to do so at that time. So our policy, grant policy stands right now, no limit. Some past history. We covered 50% of the costs of the roof replacement at the Lawn Bowling Club. In 2023, we covered 50% of the cost to replace 2 slides at the Optimus Park for the playground. Our portion was $2,448. In 2024, we covered 50% of the cost of replacing lighting at the Optimus Park for the operation of the ball diamond. Our portion was $22,883, our half. In 2025, we covered 50% of the cost to resurface the pickleball courts in Brussels. Our portion, $8,000. I want to remind you, at that delegation, councillors praised that delegation for their work and their efforts of raising their 50% ahead of time. Very similar to the curling club. Yet we only gave the Van Aster Curling Club 10% of their request. We're not being consistent or fair with our groups. What does the Lawn Bowling Club, the Optimus Club, the Brussels Pickleball Court Club, and the Van Aster Club all have in common? They're all owned by the municipality of Huron East. All of them. These groups manage and take care of our assets. Whether this money came, whether the money we gave to these groups in the past came from a grant budget or reserves, the bottom line is it's all ratepayer tax money. There was some comments, should this be a grant? Should this be capital project? To date, we have only used, counting the 2,500 that we've already slated to the curling club. To date, we have only used $10,560 of our grant budget of $25,000. At this point in time, as of today, there are no further requests for any grants. Not saying there more might come in, but as of today, there's none. If we do pass a motion tonight to give an additional $5,000 to the Van Aster Curling Club, which will bring our policy, our share up to 50%, which is our current policy, there will still be $9,440 left, $9,440 left for 2025, should any new requests come in. Very soon, in a few months, the 2026 grant program will be opening up for applications starting this September 1st, 2025. So we may not even use up all of our 2025 budget yet. If in the future we want to put limits on grant funding, then we need to change our policy, because it's not in there right now. This is why I bring this motion to you tonight and hope you will please consider to keep us being consistent to all the groups and give them the additional $5,000. My motion, whereas the Van Aster Curling Club submitted a funding request to support the procurement of a new ice scraper necessary for their operation. And whereas council at its meeting dated May 27th, 2025, approved a grant amounting of $2,500, equivalent to 10% of their request. And whereas past practices of Huron East Council have included providing grants that cover up to 50% of the requested amount, contingent on the requesting organization securing the remaining funds through their own fundraising initiatives. And whereas the municipal grant policy does not restrict the amount that can be provided per application. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the council of the municipality of Huron East approve an additional grant allocation of $5,000 to the Van Aster Curling Club to further assist their purchase of their ice scraping machine is my motion.
Okay, thank you very much, Ray. I'll get a seconder for that to get it on the floor. Thank you, Councillor Fisher. Any further discussion and comments? Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I've been a member of the Seaforth Curling Club for many, many years. And it's hard. It's a constant struggle at our club to pay for old compressors and fix things and pay insurance. Our biggest expense is insurance, and then hydro, as was mentioned, and anything we can do to help a small group in our community succeed for the curling club to grow their membership by, sounds like about 300% in 3 or 4 years. That's amazing. So anything we can do to help them, to keep them going, and these other groups that Councillor Chartrand mentioned, I think we should step up and put the other 5,000 in. Thank you.
Councillor Starr.
Yeah, it's not unlike our pools. We have 3 different curling clubs in our municipality, all operated 3 different ways. One private, one's in a municipal building and arena, and one is rented from the municipality. I'd be 100%. It's our building. It's a curling club. It should be ran as a curling club. If they came up with their 50%, I'm fine with that. I really do need to look at the broader picture of all of this. If these are assets that are within our municipality, and I think this isn't a grant, it's part of our recreation budget. It is part going forward. If we want a curling club in Vanastra, and I think we do, we own the building, no different than we own the building in Brussels and Seaforth for arena, swimming pools in Vanastra. So it's important we keep them. But we also need to look at the bigger picture of how we're actually running them in our municipality. No different than a Lions pool in the Seaforth and a Brussels pool in Brussels. So I will be supporting it. But I also would love to relook at how the ownership and what we're doing as a whole. Because we have a lot of town halls and small community halls that are gonna be in the same position soon.
Thank you for those comments. Anybody else have anything to say? I guess I'm gonna just say that I was one that voted for the $2,500. My reasoning for it, I was just wanted to be a bit more conservative on the money that we have, because this grant program is a new program. I don't know who else is gonna be coming along. And I was hoping if we'd have a little bit more money that we could spread out a little bit longer, that's all. So I voted that way. So that's your stuff there.
And I also want to be clear, just with Councillor Chartrand's motion, that we didn't grant 10% of their request. We granted 10% of the grant balance. So there is a difference between the 25 and 75 versus the 25 and the 25,000, but.
Thank you very much for those comments. Anybody else have any? Councillor Newell?
Through you to Councillor Chartrand, when you had listed some of the other activities that we had contributed 50% to, where would that money have, what pocket would that have come out of before this new grant?
I believe it came out of reserves and the CAO can,
So it would have been out of the reserve funds, but the reserve funds again are just funded through taxpayer.
that's right, it's all the same money.
Councillor Chartrand's correct when he says that it's still taxpayer dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Chartrand?
And I do ask when we do vote on the motion for a recorded vote.
Any other? If not, I'm gonna call the vote. Jessica, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I'll just read the motion again. Whereas the Vanastra Curling Club submitted a funding request to support the procurement of a new ice scraper necessary for their operations. And whereas council at its meeting dated May 27th, 2025, approved a grant amounting of $2,500 equivalent to 10% of the total request. And whereas past practices of the Huron East Council have included providing grants that cover up to 50% of the requested amount, contingent on the requesting organization securing the remaining funds through their own fundraising initiatives. And whereas the municipal grant policy does not restrict the amount that can be provided per application. Now therefore let it be resolved that the council of the municipality of Huron East approves an additional grant allocation of $5,000 to the Vanastra Curling Club to further assist in their purchase of an ice scraper. I'm going to call names. If you are in favor, please say yes or yay. If you are opposed, you say no or nay. Starting with the requester, Councillor Chartrand.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't.
Sorry.
Siri can vote. too.
Yeah. Councillor McGrath,
Yes.
Councillor Newell,
Yes,
Councillor Dalton is absent, Councillor Steffler,
Yes.
Councillor Wilby,
Yes.
Councillor Deal,
Yes.
Councillor Fisher.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan is also absent, Deputy Mayor McClellan.
No.
And Councillor Morrison.
Yes.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in favor and 1 opposed, so it is carried.
Okay, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
that. Next on our agenda, we have planning. Plan subdivisions, 40T 22001, extension of draft plan approvals. Shay, welcome.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So this application is just for the extension request for draft approved plan of subdivision at Trailblazer Homes. I believe the owner, planner, Caroline Baker, is on Zoom tonight, just in case there's any specific questions for her. All different questions. So the purpose of this, application is to request a 3-year extension to draft plan approval for the subdivision. The approval for this subdivision was initially granted on July 27th, 2022 for a 3-year period, and as such would be set to lapse on July 27th, 2025. So the request is to extend approval for an additional 3 years to provide time for the applicant to satisfy all conditions, obtain final approval, and register the subdivision. Just a quick bit of background. So the subdivision is located on the northwest side of Seaforth, at Goddard Street. Proposes 33 residential dwelling units, 9 of which would be single detached homes, 8 semi-detached lots, and 4 multiple attached blocks of 4 townhouses. So to date, the applicant or the developer has undertook extensive work on the detailed design of the subdivision and are working closely with Huron, the municipal engineer, and other appropriate agencies. No concerns were raised from municipal staff or other circulated agencies on the extension request. And as the developer has been working on finalizing their conditions and detailed design work, the draft plan approval extension request is considered appropriate and can be supported. So it's recommended that Huron East Council support the draft plan extension and forward the decision of the county for approval.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council about that? I think it's fairly straightforward, but if you have anything, you say Caroline's online too, if needed. Any questions from council? I look for a mover or seconder, and I'll read the motion then. Councillor Chartrand, Councillor Stefler, that the council of the municipality of Huron East recommends that the county of Huron approve the application to extend draft plan approval for subdivision file 40T 22001 for a further 3-year period. Any comments or questions on that? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Did you have anything else, Shay, or was a break?
That's it.
Yep, that was it.
Okay. I thought there was something else in here from the county, that's all, so.
There was a couple items I forgot to say.
Oh, okay, that's where I see it. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, next we're down to municipal drains.
So this is just a municipal drain improvement request we received from the landowner. Ken has already met with them, our drainage superintendent, and we're just recommending GEI Consultants, which was formerly GM Blue Plan.
Okay, and need a mover or seconder to move that along then. Councillor Willoughby and Councillor Morrison, that the council of the municipality of Huron East accept the request for major improvements to the Summers municipal drain that is submitted by the landowner under section 78 of the drainage law, RSO 1990, CD 17, and the council instructs GEI Consultants Inc. to prepare a report 30 days after notification of the conservation authorities. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Next, we're down to reports and recommendations to municipal officers. Brad, you're up.
Thank you. So I'm bringing a report forward here to speak about some of the office hours and some of the struggles we've had with recruitment and retention based upon the current office hours. With the younger demographic and some staff personnel priorities, we have a more diverse staff complement. And the hours of operation become more critical in terms of that recruitment and retention piece. In several instances over the last 4 years, we've resulted in situations where, you know, we failed to be able to recruit or accommodate a certain individual. And certainly having a lot more situations with people dealing with younger family and family requests. And sometimes in those circumstances, we've lost strong candidates. So to ensure good recruitment and retention, we need to ensure we always are progressive in our employee relations and balance demographic shifts. Hate to lose strong, hardworking people who elect to place quality of life or family obligations as their priority. This also aligns, I think some of the council members would have sat in on our in session with our Human Resource Director from Huron County regarding flexibility that was expressed at our last Huron County Municipal Officers meeting. We're at a critical point where leadership teams, we need to feel address this issue. It's been a recurring issue over the last 4 years. We did some research. We are the only municipality out of 22 surrounding medium to small municipalities that actually has office hours beyond 4:30. Based upon that, it does make it somewhat difficult for us to compete with other municipalities, or for that matter, for me to be able to justify a 5 PM closing to staff, so it becomes challenging that way. We also have been collecting some data, or staff were collecting some data. Over the last 70 days, the average number of walk-ins. If we look at that 7-day period where there were 4 walk-ins and 5 calls. That's on the finance side, and on the building side, they were gathering data for a longer period of time. They had 2 walk-ins in an 8-month period. So there's not a high traffic period between that 4:30 and 5 o'clock period. So as your CAO, I'm recommending that council consider a 4:30 PM closure. Happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Chartrand.
Yeah, first of all, excellent report. I like a report that has information and data that makes our decision pretty easy. For me, this is a no-brainer. I'm gonna be supporting it 100% going forward here.
Would you like to make that motion, Ray? And
I'll make the motion.
And Councillor Willoughby will second. I'll read it for you, and then any other discussion on the other side of that. That the council municipality here needs to approve the change of the town hall office open hours to be 8:30 AM to 4:30 PM. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor of that motion? That would be carried. Thank you very much. Jessica, you're next, are you?
Yes, this is just a covering report for a few of the bylaws that we have on the agenda later on. These were brought forward previously to council, and we provided notice as per our policy for purchasing unopened road allowances. Both are in Brussels, so one's just cleaning up the JM lumber, and the other one is Turk Store, which we brought forward in 24. The corresponding report was attached to the agenda as well.
Okay, so we're still gonna discuss the Turkey one next, right? Or is that, are these all?
No, that was the previous report that Brad had brought forward in 2024.
Okay.
With the details of the request, that was joined with, I believe, Morris Turnberry at the time.
Okay.
So council pretty much already declared, or has declared, that these are unopened road allowances, and we sent the notices, so this is just cleaning up the legal side of it. And
Okay, so now this can. be
conveying the
finalized.
lands.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you know where I'm going with this, with the Optimist property there too. I want to know where that's at.
Yeah, and I wish I could give you a good answer. Quite frankly, it's with our solicitor. So the bylaw has been passed for that one. So it's just a matter of the solicitor going through the process and completing that work.
Seems like a long.
Which one are you talking about?
There's actually 3 different, there's actually 4 actually, sets of parcels up in Brussels that were doing transactions. So 2 previous were to do with, I think, a bunch of lots that back onto what's an unopened road allowance that was called formerly or known as a piece of Stratton Street. And so that's been processed, and there was also another extension of Stratton Street. I can't remember the road, just north of the McDonald's Home Hardware. That it was adjacent to the Optimist, the Brussels Optimist property. And so that was also transferred over. And so the bylaws for those have been done. You guys have gone through, we did all the notices. We're just waiting for our solicitor to finalize those transactions. The 2 new ones here are, one was the lands kind of north and adjacent to the Brussels Optimist property. It was all subdivided into a bunch of lot fragments, and they're just trying to consolidate all those pieces so they can sell as one contiguous parcel. Portion of that as well is in Morris Turnberry, and they've gone through a similar process as we have. That's I'd like to move forward with that request, so in order to be able to do so and transfer the lands, we need a bylaw to do so. The other one is with just south of the McDonald Hardware. There's an old rail line spur there that we own. Council agreed to declare surplus, we put out the notices. Nobody else expressed interest, so McDonald's Home Hardware will be purchasing, the majority of that, unused, unopened road, or it's like, let's put that in, so, the bylaws for those two.
So this one about the Terpstra one, that is not new information that's over here. This is old. Because that was concerning me too about a yellow property there. That the Optimist had bought and it sounded like she wanted there to be part of theirs, right?
No, it's already been transferred to the Optimist,
Okay, so,
just gotta get the legal process. Yeah, legal transfers,
so and that's going on 2 or 3 years ago now, isn't it?
something like that, Deputy Mayor, to be honest, yeah,
My goodness.
it is.
Got a question down
All right,
here.
good job, Councillor Stepler.
I heard it's with our lawyer and, you know, it is what it is. How long, like, have we followed up to say, okay, we need to have this done by X, or is it, I can't do it? It doesn't seem like a very complicated piece. Maybe it is, I'm not a lawyer.
It is relatively complicated because of some of the survey requirements of making sure the parcels are registered properly. That there's no conflicts with it. I'm not a solicitor either, so I can't speak on behalf of Mr. McKercher, but there's been a lot of back and forth with staff trying to gather information to kind of keep these things moving forward.
Okay.
But I do believe it's all in Mr. McKercher's court for, particularly for the process of in this piece.
So do we have an ETA or we just don't know?
Yeah, I keep harassing them, I guess is the best word I can provide.
That's probably not a good word. Good try.
Yeah. And it's pretty much that now, so.
Okay, thank you.
Just like what we wanted. Do something, everything else is done except for that. So this bylaw, Jessica, is just for the sale of property then, right?
These two are just for the sale of the unopened road allowances for the report that was attached for the Terpstra property, which was already considered by council, and then the JM.
Sure. Yeah, perfect. I'll read the motion. And then we'll look for a mover or seconder, that the council of the municipality of Huron needs to consider the bylaws for the sale of the unopened road allowances in buses. Mover and seconder, to do that along with Councillor Deal, Councillor Morrison. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Jessica, you're up next, are you?
Yeah, so staff is working with the homecoming committee on various requests that are coming forward, so we just have a request to declare the street dance as a significant event. And I think a few weeks ago, we also had significant event declarations for some of the other curling club and the Legion and whatnot. So this just goes on to that. And then also to temporarily close Goddard Street there for the Summerfest as they're aligning their events this year.
Perfect. I'll read the motion or look for a mover or seconder maybe first, and then I'll read the motion. Councillor Fisher, Councillor Newell, that the council of the municipality of Huron needs to declare Seaforth Homecoming Street Dance on Friday, August the 1st, 2025 on Gullock Street, Seaforth, from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. on Saturday, August 2nd, 2025, a significant event, and that the Main Street County Road 12, Seaforth, be temporarily closed for the Seaforth Summerfest from Godfrey Street, Highway 8 to George Street on August the 2nd, 2025, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Comments or questions on that? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Denise, you're up next.
Thank you. Yeah, this report's just looking for approval for the reinvestment of a GIC for the Brussels Cemetery.
It was in your package. Any comments or questions on that? Councillor Fisher.
Yeah, I was quite surprised with the significant debt that we're carrying. Why aren't we paying the debt off instead of putting it in a GIC, please?
Sorry, debt for the Brussels Cemetery?
Yeah,
Oh,
my understanding, we have a significant debt, six figures.
The carried forward deficit, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, so these investments will be for purposes of like perpetual care or like care and maintenance. So for like the future care of the cemetery land, so you can't just use it to pay off. It has a purpose.
this is the provincial stuff you have to have?
Yeah,
What you
so
mean?
when someone purchases a plot, when they
Okay,
have
all right,
a plot, they're looking for
Yep.
perpetual care of that. So. Yeah.
Thank you,
these-
I wasn't aware that was how it was accumulated, thank you.
Yeah, only the interest off the investments can be used for operating costs. The original amounts have to stay in that.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that work from Davidville, yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? I'll read the motion and then look for mover and a seconder. That the council of the municipality of Huron needs to authorize the reinvestment of $30,000 for the Brussels Cemetery with Shoal Ice Financial Services into a 5-year guaranteed investment certificate, GIC, with the highest rate for capital date of approval. Mover or seconder, Councilor Willoughby, Councilor Deal. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Next is Public Works. Speak to Megan Good. Oh, okay, sorry. Yep, thank you. Megan.
Yeah, so this report is just a vegetable hydro lease renewal. It kind of speaks for itself. We're just extending the lease to 2030. So this agreement will commence on December 31st of 2025. So it essentially increases the rental amount that we're gaining from this lease. Festival Hydro has 2 bays that they lease from us at the Oak Street building.
Perfect. Any questions for Megan? Not, if not, I'll look for mover or seconder and Councilor Chartrand, Councilor McGrath. That the council of municipality of Huron East renew the lease agreement regarding the 2 equipment bays at 35 Oak Street in favor of Festival Hydro Inc. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Lisa, welcome.
So I'm just bringing in a report, a request to purchase a new ice resurfacer for the Brussels Morrison Gray facility. Our current ice resurfacer is a 2011. It has reached its end of life expectancy or very near. Sorting out parts for it is a little challenging. We've had equipment failure on 2 different occurrences during a flooding time. So that caused us to have some inconvenient closing and an unnecessary burden and stress on staff. So I'd like to recommend that that after doing some research on battery versus fuel, and we also researched 3 suppliers that I'd like to recommend that we buy or purchase a battery operated one with the Olympia. And it is slightly over budget, but it has many benefits. So the battery operated one gives us 0 emissions. It will have reduced maintenance costs, provide energy efficiency and fuel savings. The reason why we selected the Olympia was because it is the same machines that we've had in the past, as well as both facilities will still have the same machine, which will also allow us to use existing parts, for example, for the blades. So we won't have to purchase extra blades so that we will be able to go a longer period of time without having to go get the blades resharpened. And at the same time, by keeping an Olympia within our facilities, we will only have to take the blades to 1 location. If we choose a different supplier for our ice resurfacer, then blades will have to go to 1 location for sharpened and the other ones would have to go to a different one. So we have really had some consistency and simplified that. And the Olympia did have a lower price point. What's bringing us slightly over budget is the cost of the installation of the charger, the battery charger. So it is taking us slightly over budget by $1,480. But we're hoping to see in the long run that we will see those cost savings in the fuel cost savings as well as the maintenance, because the electric vehicles have less maintenance on.
Questions for Lisa? Councilor Chartrand.
Yeah, Lisa, I don't see any in the report. What type of warranty is on it? And is there an extended warranty that you could also purchase?
There was no extended warranty offered on it. I did not have that information on the warranty. I don't believe there was, I didn't make note of it, so.
Is it 1 year? Or 2 years?
Typically it's the 1 year. Now, on the battery, there are longer warranties on the batteries, so
Can you follow up on that?
I most certainly can, yeah.
Because, the battery side of it, should it ever go, will be the most expensive part that you have to pay from.
We did look into the two different types of batteries. There was the acid battery and the lithium, and this is a lithium, which has a lot longer life expectancy.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Counselor Fisher?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. To Lisa, please. That was my concern with the life of the batteries, Lisa. And the life of the machine, or are they so new that they don't have any record on them?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
We did do some research with some other local organizations that have purchased the battery operated machines, and they are very satisfied with them. So nobody's had anything negative to say about them. There was one facility that grumbled a little bit about it, but it was just because it was something new and different. But once they started utilizing it, they were happy with it.
I remember asking when we started this research that I saw in Mitchell 25 years ago. They had an electric resurfacer, and it was on a cord that it followed around. So that made me think it was plugged into the wall and didn't have batteries. Where this one that we proposed to purchase, it's got the heavy batteries in it running around the ice surface. Was there any research done about that one in Mitchell with the cord?
Yes, that type of machine is no longer produced.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Counselor?
Yeah. So it's a year to get, right? It's a
Yes.
year out according to the tender. We're in okay shape for the coming season.
Yes,
What's our life expectancy on our other Seaforth Arenas on the PF?
it is due to be replaced in 20, we looked that up.
Yeah, 20 years from 2030.
2030, I believe.
So then starting next year, we don't have compatible machines. We have propane and we have electric.
We do, but they're both Olympias. So
Right,
they're both Olympias, so, and again, what is compatible is the blades.
perfect. Thank you.
CEO.
Yeah, just, we're able to pull up the file there just to get some information on the warranty, so. To answer whoever asked that question, we'll warranty 2 years on the equipment itself, 5 years on the battery.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Deal.
You didn't happen to investigate the pricing on new batteries?
No,
Oh, same question.
I did the pricing on blades on the different.
Counselor McGrath.
Pricing on the batteries. Everybody who has an electric car sells a car. Batteries are 20 grand,
Exactly.
25,000,
And that's a car.
and that's a car. And I don't think we need one anyways, but that's my personal opinion, so you know you can't convince me otherwise. Thanks, and appreciate that.
You'd like to make that motion, Larry, put it on the floor?
For what?
To buy one?
Not to buy one?
Yeah.
No. No, because it's, you know, you got a failed motion tonight, so then I don't wanna back it up, but you don't do, yeah. We're good, Alan.
Okay.
We'll survive, we would.
All right, perfect. I was looking for a mover, a second, or at least to get it on the floor.
It was. One second question. Can we find out the price of a new battery?
Yeah.
That would be important.
Take some time to do.
If it's gonna be 100 and some thousand for a battery,
Yes,
but I agree with that.
that's fair. Looking for a mover, a seconder to get this motion on the floor, and then we'll go from there. Councilor Chartrand, Councilor Stafford. That the council of the municipality of Huron needs to accept the quote from Resurface Corp. Of $166,680 for the purchase of a 2025 Olympia Millennium E lithium battery powered ice resurfacer for the use at the Russell Morrison Gray Community Center. Comments or questions? Final say. All those in favor? Keep your hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, I think I have. That's 6, that's carried. Thank you.
Count, please.
Six.
Thank you.
Larry voted twice.
Okay.
Larry voted twice.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. If I did vote by accident, I apologize.
So under correspondence, we have a letter from the Ethel Minor Ball Committee, request for a significant event designation. Somebody care to make that motion? Councillor Morrison, Councillor Deal. That the council of the municipality of Huron East declares the 10th, declares the 10-team mush ball tournament hosted by the Ethel Minor Ball Committee on July 25th, 2025 to July 26th, 2025 at the Ethel Ball Diamond at 44477 Brandon Road. That should be Brandon Road, not Brandon.
Yep, I see that, thank
Yep.
you.
And Ethel was spelled the other way around. Too.
Yep.
That's okay.
Last time.
Ontario has a significant event. Comments or questions on that? All those in favor? That would be carried. Thank you very much. Looks like I think we're down to council reports. That will keep things, at our county council meeting on June the 4th, Jessica Lindholm, the CEO and president of the Nuclear Innovation Institute, presented an overview of the project and the initiatives happening there. Their mission is for industry voice, skill development and in industry advancement. Sandra Reaver give us highlights of Bill 17. That was also in our correspondence tonight too. We had a report about publicly building a new storage building for the museum. We're running out of storage space there. We talked about our lobbying strategy. Michael Bloomhagen presented a report about our updated 2025 asset management plan. He told us that we should be increasing our levy 2.2 every year over the next 20 years to help cover that asset management. Over the next 20 years, but 2.9 would be needed over the next 10 years, for instance, if we want to cover it properly. We'll need approximately $566 million in today's dollars for infrastructure over the next 20 years. So some scary numbers, so. I think that's all I have. Does any boards, committees, or meeting seminars, anybody clean the report? Councilor Willoughby.
So on Saturday, I brought greetings from Huron East to the Goderich Pride Day. I believe it's their third Pride, and I've attended two. I couldn't go last year, and it all went very well. And so that's all I really wanted to say.
Good turnout, was it?
Good turnout.
Excellent.
Good weather.
Anybody have anything else to report? Meetings and seminars? Seeing none, we're down to requests by members. Seeing none, notice of motions. Councillor Fisher.
I'm sorry, back up one, Mr. Deputy Mayor, please. Request by members.
Yes.
Can we have an update on Omni and long-term care what's going on going forward, please, at our next meeting?
You would now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to provide a bit of an update, no answer yet about a license for Omni. We're still in contact with ministry officials as well as our local MPP in terms of the status. I keep in contact with Omni representatives to see what they're finding on their end. They're sort of reaching through their contacts to get information, and we're doing the same. At this point, I don't have any more of an update than that. But we are continually proactive, trying to get an answer.
thank you.
Councillor Chartrand.
So is there gonna be a delegation at AMO?
We put a request in, but not heard yet, but we will have them.
It's really frustrating is because we had the meeting here with Lisa, it was positive. We had the meeting at Roma, very positive. And we're still in the wait game.
Still waiting.
Anybody have anything else? Notice of motion, there was nothing under announcements. Anybody have anything? I just want to point out a couple things. I know the pickleball committee back in Brussels, they're having a fundraiser on June 22nd. It's a fish fry from 5 to 7 o'clock at night at the pickleball court. It's a drive-through event, fish are supplied by the Brussels Legion and tickets are $20 a piece. So if anybody wants to take part in that, I encourage you to do so. I also want to point out that this Sunday is the Brussels firefighters annual breakfast in Brussels. And next Sunday will be the Gravy firefighters, and I believe Seaforth always has theirs on
July first.
July 1st.
Yeah.
So try to take them in as well and support our firemen if you can. Might have anything else under announcements, and we'll move along to the bylaws. So I need a mover and seconder for the first one, Councillor Deal, Councillor Chartran. That be hereby resolved that bylaw 37/2025, a bylaw to authorize a lease agreement with Festival Hydro be given first, second, third, final readings, signed by the deputy mayor and clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed there too. Comments or questions? All those in favor? That be carried. Move second for the next one, please. Councillor Newell, Councillor Morrison, that hereby be resolved that bylaw 40 for 2025, bylaw to stop up, close, and sell unopened road allowances in part of Stratton Street, Brussels, be given first, second, third, and final reading signed by the deputy mayor and clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed there too. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Mover second for the next one, please. Councillor Deal, Councillor Willoughby. That hereby be resolved that bylaw 41/2025, a bylaw to stop up, close, and sell unopened road allowance of lane plan 192 be given first, second, third, and final reading signed by the deputy mayor and clerk. The seal of the corporation be affixed there too. All those in favor? That would be carried. Next motion, Councillor McGrath and Councillor Morrison, that hereby be resolved that bylaw 45/2025, a bylaw to temporary stop up, and close a portion of Main Street Seaforth be given first, second, third, and final reading signed by the mayor, deputy mayor, and clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed there too. All those in favor? That would be carried. Next is confirmation bylaw. Councillor Deal, Councillor Staffler, that hereby be resolved that bylaw 46/2025, that the bylaw to confirm proceedings that the council be given first, second, third, and final readings signed by the deputy mayor and clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed there too. All in favor? That would be carried. Looking for adjournment. Councillor Fisher and Councillor Deal, that the time now being 6:57, close enough, PM, that the regular meeting do now adjourn until June 24th.